Achieving everything you want in life requires understanding a few key principles, secrets, if you will, that make the biggest difference. The first secret is the foundation of it all. You must decide what you truly want. This might sound simple, but most people never actually make a clear decision. They think about what they might like, daydream about success, but never sit down to define it clearly. Why is this so important? Because making a decision sets everything else in motion. It's like the rudder on a ship. Without it, you drift aimlessly, but with it, you can steer your course. When you decide on a goal and define it clearly, something changes. Your brain, your energy, and your actions begin to align with that decision. Until you do that, you're like a ship without a rudder, tossed by the waves of life, without a clear direction. Now, you might ask, how do I decide? Let me share what I've learned from my own experience and the lives of countless others. You need to get clear on what truly matters to you. This is where many people stumble. They say they want success, but success means different things to different people. Do you want wealth, health, better relationships, spiritual fulfillment? Each is a different kind of success. And until you decide which one matters most to you, you'll never truly have direction. One helpful exercise is to sit down with a piece of paper and write down everything you want in life. Don't hold back. Let your imagination run wild. Think about where you want to live, the kind of car you want to drive, the career you want to pursue, and the relationships you want to build. But here's the key. After you've written everything down, go back and narrow it down to what truly matters. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing here? If you're not clear on what you truly want, you'll find yourself chasing too many things at once. Let me share an example from my own life. When I was young, I was broke. At 25, I had nothing in the bank, creditors were calling, and I was barely getting by. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that I didn't know what I wanted. I was living day by day without a clear sense of direction. Then I met a man named Mr. Shoaf. He became my mentor, and one of the first things he told me was, Simon, you must decide what you want. At first, I didn't grasp the power of that statement, but then I realized that until I knew exactly what I wanted, I was never going to make progress. Mr. Shoaf encouraged me to take my life seriously and decide where I was heading. So one evening I sat down and wrote my goals. At first they were vague, like, I want to be successful. But Mr. Shoaf made me understand that wasn't enough. I needed to be specific. So I got serious. I decided I wanted to earn a certain amount of money, travel the world, and become a person of influence, someone who could teach and inspire others. Once I made those decisions, things started to change. Now, don't misunderstand me. Making a decision doesn't mean everything will suddenly fall into place. No, it simply gives you a target. And when you have a target, you can focus. Focus is power. A laser beam is just focused light, but it can cut through steel. That's the kind of power you unleash when you make a decision and direct all your energy toward it. There was once a man who wanted to be a world-class archer. He had the best bow and arrow, all the right gear, and practiced every day. But he couldn't hit the target consistently. Frustrated, he went to his coach for advice. The coach asked him one simple question. Where are you aiming? The man realized he hadn't been aiming at all. He had just been shooting and hoping for the best. The lesson is clear. You must know where you're aiming if you want to hit the target. So, what's your target? Have you truly decided what you want? I encourage you to take some time to think about it. Really think about it. This is the first secret. Without it, the rest of the process won't work. Until you make a clear decision about what you want in life, you're just wandering, and nothing is more discouraging than wandering without a purpose. But once you make that decision, watch what happens. It's like flipping a switch inside you. Your mind becomes engaged, your actions become purposeful, and the world itself seems to align to help you achieve your goal. Mr. Shoaf taught me this, and it changed my life. I went from being broke and uncertain to becoming a millionaire and living the kind of life I had only dreamed about. It wasn't luck, it was the power of decision. So, that's the first secret. Decide what you want. Cut off all other possibilities. Burn the ships and commit yourself fully to that decision. When you do that, you'll find that everything else starts to fall into place. Like the pieces of a puzzle coming together. But it all starts with that one decision. So decide. Decide right now what you want your life to look like. Make that decision with the full force of your heart and mind, because once you do, you're already halfway there. Next, you must take massive action. Once you've made a decision, it's not enough to sit back and wait. You must roll up your sleeves and get to work. Not just any work, massive, focused, and intentional action. This is where the magic happens. Many people make decisions and get excited at the start. They feel motivated, but then something happens. The excitement fades, and they stop taking action. Maybe they take a few steps, but when they don't see immediate results, they lose momentum. They start to doubt whether it's even possible. But here's the truth. Achieving anything worthwhile requires sustained action over time. When I started in business, I didn't know much. I was just a farm boy from Idaho with big dreams. But I knew that if I wanted to change my life, I had to do something different. I couldn't wait for opportunities to fall into my lap. I had to create them. So I made a decision. I decided I was going to succeed no matter what. And once I made that decision, I got to work. I read every book on success I could find, attended seminars, sought mentors, and took action. Hello! It wasn't easy. At first, I faced rejection after rejection. But I didn't let that stop me. I kept taking action, and eventually the tide turned. The more action you take, the more momentum you build. It's like pushing a snowball down a hill. At first it's small and takes effort, but as it rolls, it gets bigger and unstoppable. So what kind of action should you take? The kind that aligns with your goals. Not all action is productive. Some people stay busy all day but never get closer to their goals. You need focused action that directly contributes to achieving your dreams. If your goal is to build a business, focus on growing it. If your goal is fitness, focus on your health. Whatever your goal, align your actions with it. Massive action also requires persistence. You must keep going even when things get tough. Many people start strong but quit too soon. They don't realize that success is often just around the corner. Like the story of the gold miner who gave up digging. He was only 3 feet away from striking gold. So what action will you take today to move closer to your goal? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because here's the main lesson. Success doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you decide what you want, commit to it fully, and take massive, consistent action. Decide today, take action, and watch how your life transforms. Truth is, the only moment we truly have is right now. If you want to accomplish everything you have ever dreamed of, it all begins with taking action in this very moment. That brings us to the second secret. Take massive action. Don't wait for the perfect time, because honestly, there's no such thing. The perfect time is now. When you take action, you create momentum. And momentum is a powerful force. It pushes you forward, strengthens your resolve, and before you realize it, you'll be on your way to achieving everything you desire in life. Next, surround yourself with the right people. This is a crucial step, my friends. We don't live in isolation. Our success, failures, way of thinking, and even our habits are influenced by those we spend the most time with. It's a simple yet powerful truth. Your environment shapes you, and the people in your environment play a big role in that. Think about it for a moment. Who are the people you talk to every day? Who do you share your ideas with? Whose feedback do you seek? Who do you allow to influence your thoughts? Whether you realize it or not, these people either help you move forward toward your goals or hold you back. You naturally become like the people you spend most of your time with. It's unavoidable. If you're around negative people who always complain and doubt themselves, their energy will impact you. Who cares? On the other hand, if you surround yourself with positive, driven, and focused individuals, their energy will lift you up. This is known as the law of association, and it's one of the most powerful forces in your life. My mentor, Mr. Schaff, taught me this early on. He once told me, Simon, if you want to soar like an eagle, you need to stop hanging around with turkeys. Now, he didn't mean that in a disrespectful way. What he was saying is that if you want to achieve great things, you must associate with people who are also on a path to greatness. When I was starting out, I was surrounded by people who didn't have big dreams. They were good people, don't get me wrong, but they lacked ambition. They were content with just getting by, living paycheck to paycheck, and they didn't see the point in aiming for more. Naturally, I started to feel the same way. If everyone around you thinks small, it's easy to think small yourself. But then I met Mr. Schaff, and he was different. He had big dreams, a clear vision for his life, and most importantly, he believed that greater things were possible. Just being around him made me realize that I was capable of so much more than I had previously imagined. That's the power of association. When you surround yourself with people who are always striving for more, who constantly seek self-improvement, and who believe in personal growth, it inspires you to do the same. It elevates your thinking and challenges you to stretch beyond your limits. However, this isn't always easy. Sometimes the people you've been spending time with, your friends, family, or colleagues, aren't on the same journey as you. They might not understand your goals. They might even discourage you. And that's tough. I completely get it. It's not easy to distance yourself from people who've been part of your life for a long time. But at some point, you have to make a choice. Do you want to stay where you are? Or do you want to grow? Because growth often requires change, including changing the people you associate with. Now, I'm not saying you should completely cut people out of your life. But I am saying you need to be intentional about who you spend the most time with. If you want to achieve greatness, you need to be around people who are going places. People who have already achieved what you want or who are on the same journey as you. Seek out mentors. Find peers who are driven and surround yourself with people who challenge you to improve. I want you to take a moment and think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Do their lives reflect the kind of life you want? Do their attitudes, habits, and mindsets align with your goals? If not, it's time to make some changes. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise you it's necessary. I knew a young man who dreamed of becoming a successful entrepreneur. But all his friends were content with regular jobs and living for the weekend. They lacked the same drive he had. They weren't interested in self-improvement, setting goals, or pushing him to grow. In fact, whenever he talked about his dreams, they laughed and called him crazy. At first he thought he could still pursue his dreams while hanging out with the same crowd. But over time, their negativity got to him. He started doubting himself. He started thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe I am crazy for wanting more. It wasn't until he decided to spend time with a different group of people that his life changed. He found a mentor, joined a group of entrepreneurs, and suddenly everything shifted. He was now surrounded by people who believed in him, pushed him, and challenged him to improve. That's when his business started to take off. We are social beings, and we are influenced by those around us, whether we realize it or not. If you're constantly around people who tell you what you can't do, you'll start believing it. But if you're around people who encourage you, push you to reach higher, and show you what's possible, you'll start believing that too. Here's the key. Be intentional about who you allow into your life. It's not just about finding successful people. It's about finding people with the right mindset. Look for those who are positive, growth-oriented, and always striving to improve. Success isn't just about money or status. It's about growth and becoming the best version of yourself. And you need people around you who share that journey. If you don't have these kinds of people in your life yet, seek them out. Find a mentor, join a mastermind group, attend seminars, read books, and listen to podcasts. There are so many ways to connect with people who can elevate your thinking and push you toward your full potential. When you start surrounding yourself with the right people, you'll notice a dramatic shift in your life. Here's a simple exercise for you. Write down the names of the five people you spend the most time with. Next to each name, note whether they lift you up or hold you back. Are they encouraging your growth, or are they keeping you in your comfort zone? Be honest with yourself. This exercise can be eye-opening. Once you've completed it, you'll have a clearer picture of who you need to spend more time with and who you might need to distance yourself from. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. Your future, your success, and your personal growth depend on it. That's the third secret. Surround yourself with the right people. When you do this, your energy, focus, and results will rise to a whole new level. Next, develop the right mindset. This is where the inner game comes into play. Everything starts in the mind. The thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold, and the way you see the world. These things shape your life more than anything else. It's not just about what you do, but also about how you think while doing it. You've probably heard the saying, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." This ancient wisdom still holds true today. Your outer world reflects your inner world. If you want to change your life, start by changing your thinking. Now, there are 2 types of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. What truly mattered was my mindset and the choices I made. That was a turning point in my life. I began to take full responsibility for my actions. Instead of seeing myself as a victim of circumstances, I chose to adopt a growth mindset. I stopped blaming external factors and started seeing myself as the creator of my own destiny. I began to believe that I could improve, that I could grow, that I could learn. And that belief changed everything. Now I want to share something powerful with you. The way you talk to yourself matters. The words you speak to yourself shape your mindset. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable, then guess what? You'll start believing it. And when you believe it, you will act according to that belief. But if you start telling yourself a different story, one of possibility, growth, and potential, you'll start believing that too. And once you believe it, your actions will follow. One of the best ways to develop a growth mindset is to pay attention to the language you use with yourself. Are you speaking words of limitation or words of possibility? Are you focusing on what you can't do, or are you shifting your focus to what you can do? Each time you catch yourself thinking or speaking in a limiting way, stop and reframe it. Turn that limitation into a possibility. For example, instead of saying, "I can't do this," say, "I haven't learned how to do this yet, but I will figure it out." Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," say, "I'm getting better at this every day." This simple shift in language can have a huge impact on your mindset and ultimately your results. Another key to developing the right mindset is to focus on solutions rather than problems. People with a fixed mindset get stuck on problems. They put all their energy into what's going wrong, and as a result feel overwhelmed and paralyzed. But those with a growth mindset acknowledge problems without dwelling on them. Instead, they immediately start looking for solutions. Let me tell you something. Life is full of challenges. That's just how life works. But the difference between those who reach their goals and those who don't is in how they respond to problems. Do you let obstacles stop you, or do you use them as opportunities to learn and grow? When I was building my business, I faced countless challenges. Some days, everything seemed to go wrong. But instead of letting those setbacks discourage me, I focused on solutions. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve from this experience? Where is the opportunity here? Your mindset is your greatest asset. It determines how you handle the ups and downs of life. It decides whether you give up at the first sign of trouble or whether you push through until you reach your goals. And the best part, you have the power to choose your mindset. You can cultivate a growth mindset that supports your journey to success. So here's what I want you to do. Commit to developing a growth mindset. Start by being mindful of your thoughts, self-talk, and focus. Whenever you catch yourself thinking in limiting ways, stop and reframe your thoughts. Whenever you face a problem, focus on finding a solution. And remember, growth is a process. You won't change your mindset overnight, but with consistent effort, you can develop the kind of thinking that will help you achieve anything you want in life. That's the fourth secret. Develop the right mindset. Because when you change your mind, you change your life. Next, the fifth secret to improving yourself mentally and physically, consistency. This is the glue that holds everything together. Without consistency, even the best intentions, the clearest goals, massive action, great relationships, and the right mindset won't lead to lasting success. Consistency is what separates dreamers from achievers, starters from finishers, and those who simply want success from those who actually achieve it. Now think about this. How many times have you set a goal, gotten excited about it, started strong, but after a few weeks or months, that excitement faded? How many times have you promised to change something in your life only to slip back into old habits? This happens to everyone at some point. We start with enthusiasm, but without consistency, we lose momentum. Here's something I learned early in my career. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. It's not about taking big actions one day and then relaxing for the rest of the week. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when the excitement is gone, even when things get tough. Consistency is all about habits. Habits are the foundation of success. If you build good habits and stick with them, they will compound over time and lead to extraordinary results. But if you develop bad habits or fail to stay consistent, those same small negative actions will also compound and push you further from your goals. Imagine you want to get in shape. You decide to work out every day. At first, you're excited, hitting the gym, following a diet, and feeling great. But then life gets busy, you miss one workout, then another. Before you know it, you've stopped going to the gym completely, and your goal drifts further away. Why? Because you didn't maintain consistency. Now, imagine instead that you stayed consistent. Even if you didn't have time for a long workout, you still made time for something, even if it's just a short run or stretching. Over time, those small, consistent efforts would add up, and you would see real progress. It's the same with any goal, whether it's financial, personal, or professional. Success doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, daily steps. Those small, repeated actions create a big impact over time. That's the power of consistency. One reason people struggle with consistency is that they expect instant results. We live in a world of instant gratification. People want to lose 10 pounds in a week, become rich overnight, or master a skill in a few days. But real success doesn't work like that. It takes time, effort, and, you guessed it, consistency.